Ka jingialang banyakren halor ka phang media and governance pynlong da ka Meghalaya Institute of Governance MIG haka arpunyo tarik Jylliew Jylliew haka ophis jong ka Asian Confluence ha Shillong. Layo jingkren lamphang now editor ka Kot Khubor The Tribune u Rajesh Ramachandran but iawan shim bynta da principal secretary ka sorkar Meghalaya but ubalong ru director general jong ka Meghalaya Institute of Governance u Sampath Kumar u director jong ka MIG Bah Aiban Swer, ka editor jong ka Shillong Times ka Kong Patricia Mukhim, u president ka Shillong Press Club Bah David Laitphlang, ki nongmihkhmat na kiwei kilat pathai kubor na kylleng ka sor Shillong, ki officer na kitnat sorkar bapher ringkat bat ki kattu kat ni ki riu khmat ka Jylliew. U principal secretary ka sorkar Meghalaya u Sampath Kumar haka jingkren jong u ulayat ho khandiat shapang ka jingiaday hapeng ki lat pathai kubor ne media bat ka sanchar khadar. Shushu ulakren ru halor kumnu bakini ki lat pathai kubor ki wan rai ki khubor bat ki jingtip na ka liang ka sorkar sha upai ba babon balang. U editor jong ka Kot Khubor The Tribune u Rajesh Ramachandran habakren haka jingialang u labatay siya pang ka jingdon kam jong ka jing ay jing mud ne ka jing pinsngaw na kalyang ki patba ne public opinion kabala ru banyarap haka ban pinsapriang lengba kini kilat patay kubor ya ka jing ay jing tip kabashay bat kabashisha.
I downloaded a PDF of our constitution and ran a check to find how many times the words press and newspaper appear in the constitution. Very few. Once, along with factories, boilers and electricity, in enumeration of the items in the concurrent list. And a couple of times regarding exemption in the levying of taxes. Our constitution otherwise is not very eloquent about the freedom of the press or the role of independent press in our society. Yet, if Indian media and media professionals are being accorded the sanctity reserved for constitutional entities, it is a testimony to the strength, vibrancy and depth of democracy in our society, which we often decry as regressive, feudal, status quoist and pre-modern. Our media, with no legal or constitutional validity, remains important because our society has deemed it to be so. And the one and only reason for the society to attach this sort of importance to the media is because of the importance our people give to what is called public opinion. We as a people have immense faith and respect for public opinion. I hope to explain in this lecture the importance of the legitimacy of public opinion for governance and how the power of media and its role in shaping the society lie entirely in the legitimacy of public opinion. It is important to understand the history of modern media in India to appreciate its power and its role in our society, constantly shaping our present and thereby our future. Modern media was a British colonial project in India. I always go back to the history of newspapers to explain the importance of media in the contemporary context, as I remain fascinated by the role, no, not just a role, but the primacy assigned to newspapers by the colonial administration in India. Let me use the term newspaper instead of media, as I am talking about a period much before radio or the television, when media could only have meant newspapers. We commonly understand or even equate newspapers with democracy, free speech, freedom of choice and the principle of one person, one vote. Sure, there cannot be democracy without freedom of speech and a free media. But the converse is not true. There can be and will always be media without democracy or free speech. During the British Raj, the power of newspapers was so big that it was imperative to publish and circulate newspapers even when the nation was not free, even when it was ruled by an oppressive government with no popular representation. So, I am sorry to disappoint government officials who literally wear power on their sleeves. For I believe that a society is not controlled by batons, bullets and prisons. It is controlled by a narrative, which means a story or a description of a series of events or a particular way of explaining or understanding those events. By story, we don't mean fiction, but a narration of events from a particular perspective. The same set of facts and figures can be told in many ways according to the perspective of the storyteller. The teller's perspective is of prime importance because the whole point in telling the story is not to convey the bare facts, but to convince the listener and to ensure that the listener absorbs and accepts the teller's version of the events. All rulers and governments want the masses to believe and accept their version of the description of contemporary events. Does it mean that the legacy media has lost its importance? Well, when a newspaper, before actually talking about the digital media, I would like to address a more important issue about public opinion formation. When a newspaper or a TV channel puts out a story, it often creates public opinion by the reaction it evokes. I'll give a couple of examples from my own reporting days. If a reporter doesn't blow his own trumpet, then who else will do it for him? So I'm sure you will pardon me for blowing my own trumpet. See, I had done a series of stories on the valuation of a public sector unit which was getting privatized some 20 years for the Times of India. That was in early 2001. So this came to be known as the Balco valuation scandal. So looking at the possible undervaluation of a immensely profit-making PSU, which was being sold off for a song. Arun Shourie was the disinvestment minister. He, tooth and nail, he defended the deal, which was completely indefensible. The parliament was rocked, the issue was debated endlessly, but fortunately, I would say, for the government, someone took it to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court put a lid to the entire controversy, saying that valuation is a subject best left to the executive and that they would not look at it.